So I've got the invitation, but it'll be a little different. But first of all, I want to say this. Thank you to the elders for taking advantage of this opportunity to have a worship assembly on New Year's Day and to take advantage of our thoughts being around resolving, resolutions, and standing. I appreciate them making that effort. I think we're fortunate to be a part of a congregation who would have men who look out for us in such a manner. I was also struck by the people who participated in the services, calling for this resolution and calling for goal setting. And I think about what those men who spoke needed to do to be pleasing and to be true to the resolve. And the formula is the same for all men that spoke. And the formula is the same for all of us. You see, what it takes to be the Christian that God's called us to be is an easy process. But why do so many fail at the resolutions that they make? It's because of distractions. They get in our way. But as you think about Dad opening, and then Silas was in there, we've got our newest Medicare member, and then our newest groom. But the process is the same. And the goal is the same. And that's the beauty of it. But also, that comes for some of us who are in the middle, some aspects of complacency, because I've seen a new year before. Some of you may be saying this about your resolutions. I don't keep them anyway, so why start? The average New Year's resolution lasts 32 days. And by February 11th, 2025, 80% of all New Year's resolutions will be toast. You may be average. But I'll tell you this, if you made a resolution to read the Bible daily and it only lasted 32 days, that's 32 days you read the Bible. If you made a resolution to say, I will encourage a brother or sister every single day, and it only lasted 32 days, that's not a bad thing. If you promised yourself you would open every day on your knees, and it only lasted 32 days, that's not a bad thing. And so as you think about what you're going to do spiritually and how you're going to be built up, just try. That's the beauty of it. And then it could be that as you draw near to the Lord, He draws near unto you. And as He draws near unto you, you are no longer average, but you are joined with the Creator and Sustainer of the universe, and you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. And so, one of the distractions that can arrive during a presentation is the clock. I'll make you a promise. I'm not done at 8 o'clock. So don't worry about looking there. Silas's prayer was too long, and so it's impossible for me to be done by 8 o'clock. But this is a good thing. It's a good thing to spend our time doing. When you think about resolutions, Tim did a great job in showing us that it's biblical, that resolve and the renewing of the resolve is biblical. But I want to look at two characters who made a resolve, who made a resolution. Look in Daniel chapter 1. We're just going to look at two different characters because I think this proves that it's necessary no matter who you are. And yes, sometimes it's wise to take advantage of a calendar day. It's wise to take advantage of change. You notice that Daniel, it seems as though in the manner in which the Holy Spirit reveals the life of Daniel to us, it didn't take an aha moment for him to be a man of resolution. It seems as though this is just a character that he determined he was going to serve the Lord. But as we find him in Babylon, what is present in Babylon that maybe was not present in his hometown? A new set of distractions, a new set of issues. And therefore, what did it require of Daniel? A new resolve. A new resolve. Daniel chapter 1 and verse 8. As he's brought here into the court of the king, and he's offered certain foods. Interestingly enough, that may be on some of your resolution ideas, is certain foods to avoid. He made a resolution concerning that. Verse 8. But Daniel resolved that he would not defile himself with the king's food or with the wine that he drank. Therefore he asked the chief of the eunuchs to allow him not to defile himself. And so he and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they had a different diet. And so the steward took away their food. Verse 16, the steward took away their food and the wine they were to drink and gave them vegetables. As for the youths, God gave them learning and skill in all literature and wisdom, and Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams. They made the resolution, and God answered. Brethren, that's how we can be better than average in our resolution, in our fervor, is because as we make the resolve, God is willing to partner with us to see to it that we can accomplish that which we set out to accomplish. Because he that is within is greater than that which is within the world. And we see that true in the life of Daniel as he has made this resolve, the Lord answered. And really, it's a mindset. It's a shift that just changes, and you put your mind in that place that you're going to do it. Jocko Willink makes a fortune being a coach in leadership and motivation. One of the areas of life that he tries to motivate is fitness. He says if you start every day with an exercise, the rest of your day kind of works out better. He's super early in his exercise. It's 4:30 is when the workout starts. He was one of the first on social media to take the picture with the clock and the sweat drips behind it. 4:32, he's already got sweat dripping, and he motivates. And so people ask him often on his podcast, how do you wake up early? How do you do it? What does my mind need to do to be there? His answer is always this: wake up early. Don't press snooze. An extremely simple answer. And that was the beauty of the presentations that we had. Extremely simple answer, but difficult for us to follow through with. Why? Because your mind's in the trash. Your mind's in the wrong place. But once the mind has been totally shifted and you believe in where you're going, you believe in what that plan can do for you, all of a sudden, you just get up and you just do what you've been called to do. There's a different character who also made a similar resolution, and it's in Luke chapter 15. Luke chapter 15, I would say a totally different character than that which we find in Daniel. This happens to be a character who indeed did need a wake-up call, and that may be who you are. You may not be the Daniel who said, I walk for the Lord. I've done that. When circumstances change and distractions change, I make a new resolution, but I'm focused on the Lord. This was not the case for the prodigal son. So in Luke chapter 15, what we're dealing with is the prodigal son. The son who had it all. And what he said was, I want more and I want my inheritance now. And he leaves, and we know the rest of the story. He spends and he spends and he spends his inheritance until he winds up where? In a pig pen. In dung, manure. In a stinky, awful place. If ever there was a time to make a resolution, it was then. And what we're going to see here as we pick up the story in verse 17 of Luke chapter 15 is the beauty of a resolution. And we see what happened and how he was able to take step by step back to the Lord. But I think the more beautiful picture is this: the father rushing out to make sure that he grabbed him and he embraced him. And brethren, in 2025, and in every year past and every year to come until he comes back, that's what the Lord wants to do for you. Embrace you and welcome you into his service. This is Luke chapter 15 and verse 17. But when he came to himself, he said, and maybe it is that tonight some of us will come to ourselves. Just say, hey, the old me's done. We're going to try it for 32 days, and if we get lucky, it'll last a whole year. But when he came to himself, he said, how many of my father's hired servants have more than enough bread? But I perish here with hunger. I will arise and go to my father. And that's been the call of the elders tonight. That's been the call of this service. Arise and go to your father. Just take that step to your father. Resolutely take that step toward your father. And I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. His mindset has totally changed. He's not the proud man who left his father's house. He's now humbled and walking back and knowing that he can accomplish nothing without that which his father would give him. He says in verse 19, I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hired servants. And he arose and came to his father, but while he was still a long way off. His father saw him and felt compassion and ran, embraced him, and kissed him. You draw near to the Lord, James chapter 4. James chapter 4 and verse 8. Draw near to the Lord, and he will draw near to you. This is the picture of a man who's made a resolution to do what is right, to go back to his father. And his father has embraced him and welcomed him back. Continuing in verse 21, and the son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. And he was right. But the father said to his servants, bring quickly the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his hand and shoes on his feet. And bring the fattened calf and kill it. And let us eat and celebrate. For this my son, though yes he is unworthy, I call him worthy this day. For this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and he is found. And they began to celebrate. And that's what the Lord does for us. When we make a resolution to commit to him and take steps with him and be fully committed to him, he celebrates. And he embraces us. And he calls us his children. If you're not a child of God, you can be tonight. It's a simple process. He can create heaven and earth, and he has. He can sustain the universe by the power of his word. But he made salvation one of the most simple tasks ever known. He made receiving his grace more than simple. Come to him humbly, as his prodigal son did. Be buried in baptism, in water, and raised to walk in newness of life. Do you need that tonight? Or do you just simply need to make a new resolution to be a better Christian? Whatever you need, come forward as together we stand and as we sing.